Hi, morena te whānau o Ngāti Tū Wharetoa. This morning, my guests, I'm very honoured to have two guests with me this morning. One you most probably recognise because he uri o Ngāti Tū Wharetoa, Ngai Tūhoi, a respected scholar holding a PhD specialising in geology from the University of Tāmaki, and was originally appointed into this role back in 2018 for a 3-year term. Now, as of ina nahi rā, it has been announced that the reappointment of this uri o Ngāti Tū Wharetoa will carry on that role for the next 5 years. My next guest, also a part of our kōrero this morning, he is no stranger to the world of TV and, of course, being a very outspoken on social media. Ngāti porau te whakatohea Ngāti konohi, ngai tai and waikato. He is the pautikanga for Te Tumu Paeroa and is responsible for leading and supporting their kaupapa and developing the organisation's te reo and tikanga strategy. Whānau, welcome to the show. Te Hāmua Nikora, and of course, Dr Charlotte Severne. Morena kōrua.
Tēnā koe whanaunga.
Tēnā koe. Tēnā koe.
Look, firstly, I want to thank you both for joining me this morning on the show. And firstly, for you, Charlotte, exciting times. You've spent your the last 3 years, that 3-year term, as the Māori Trustee for Te Tumu Paeroa. Now, Minister for Māori Development Willie Jackson announced ina nahi rā that you will have the next term for the next 5 years. How are you feeling about that?
Very excited, Aaron. Very excited. It's been a long journey. The appointment was first raised just pre-election with Minister Mahuta, who clearly asked me, look, Charlotte, is this, do you want to carry on? And I said, look, if there's someone in your mind that can do it, like you've got to do the work, then look, I can go back to being a scientist. But I love this job. I learned the craft of governance at Rotoaira and at Opepe, and
I guess what Charlotte's saying though is that her basis for being able to do this job is exactly what you introduced her as, he uri tēnei no Ngāti Tū Wharetoa. And she is always telling me of her pride of her home people, of the education that she's had in land governance through Rotoaira and the different trusts that she's worked through and with over the years, and to be able to have another bite at the cherry or the apple or the pokena or however they say it, for us as an organisation to have that solid leadership. Again, she's used the last 3 years to indent her leadership style on Te Tumu Paeroa, and she's always saying to us, it took a while to get the boat up and running. Engari kua mānu te waka I nai nei, ko tōna mahi he puta atu ki te pipipitanga o te moana. Our boat is up and running. Now it's time to get it out there and to do the job. So we've got 5 years now for her to sink her teeth right in. Now that she's baked the rewana, it's time to eat the rewana, and we've got 5 years.
Ooh, don't start talking. Don't start talking. Oh, well, your role, while we wait to get Charlotte back, your role is, of course, developing the organisation's reo and tikanga strategy. How has that been for you? And how long have you been with Te Tumu Paeroa?
So it's just coming up to 2 years. I think September or October 2019 I started. I can't remember because as soon as I hit the ground, we had a whakatauki. I hit the ground and I was sprinting. It's been amazing. For me, I'm lucky enough to have grown up under fellas like that are now being called Professor, Sir and Doctor. These were my uncles that kicked my bum, fed me rewana and taught me how to catch fish when I was a kid. So people like Derek Lardeli, Wayne Ngata, Victor Walker, Kui Morale, you know, some of the big Ngāti Pro names had input into my life and taught me how to be Māori, how to live Māori. We grew up under the philosophy of Siapirana ngata, e tipu e rea, munga rao, tō au ko tō ringa ki ngā rāka wa te Pākehā. Use as much of the tools that the Pākehā brought. Don't say, oh, no, that's no good. Take their tools and use them. Hei oranga mo te Māori o Nāianei. So that's basically been my role in Te Tumu Paeroa since I've started. We've made sure that te ao kohatu, the old ways, are very much still alive in the year 2021. One of my big things is enhancing the land as a taonga for the babies that haven't even been born yet, on behalf of the tipuna that have passed away, which makes it mahi tapu. When you're talking about people that are no longer in this realm or have yet to come to this realm, he mahi tapu tērā. So we do things like our PMO, the Project Management Office, every time they have a project come before them, myself and Nikora, the assistant pautikanga, we go in and we have a blessing and a karakia. When that project becomes BAU or business as usual, we launch that product as if it were a waka, because it now has a job to do. We do that with karakia. Every time we have a new kaimahi come to Te Tumu Paeroa, they're given a whakatau. Their tipuna are invited to come and hang out with us. Their babies who haven't even been born yet, we whakatau them, we waiata, and then we kaitahi, because we believe in tapu, noa, and mana. That's a big part of my belief system as pautikanga, has been brought into Te Tumu Paeroa. Not forcing it upon anybody, but just saying, as pautikanga, this is what I believe, this is how I see us moving, and everybody's jumped on board. The boss in particular, Charlotte's an excellent boss. She's a wahine that understands science right the way from Tāne Mahuta, Ranginui, Papatuanuku, Ruaumoko, all the way through to Nikon, Ion, and everything in between on. So, you know, he wahine rangatira tērā.
Talking about that, Elha, Charlotte's actually the very first wahine to take this leadership role, isn't she? In this ropu.
Absolutely. So Te Tumu Paeroa, or the Māori Trustee, is 100 years old this year, and the first wahine to be given the job of Māori Trustee was Charlotte back in 2018. She's herself was quite surprised when she found that out. Coming from a place like Rotoaira, coming from, you know, you guys, where there are a lot of wahine that are running trusts, that are governing whenua, that are doing exactly what Charlotte does in her job. She was surprised to find out that she's the first wahine Māori, or the first wahine full stop, to be given the job. I'm proud to be her pautikanga. I always, when I work for somebody, I give them my all. And for me, working with the first wahine in this position, to give her my all is real easy. I don't believe I've got a 9-to-5 job. As soon as my eyes are open, I've started working, and just because they're closed doesn't mean I've stopped. So yeah, and it's easy to do that for somebody who has a very similar belief system around whenua, around the tapu of our ancestors, around the mana that we derive from land, around the fact that the Māori word for land is whenua, the Māori word for the placenta that a baby lives inside its mother is also whenua, which tells us the relationship that we have with our land. And, you know, he wahine whakaponoa no hoki a Charlotte ki tērā.
Pai ana e hoa. What do you think is ahead for Te Tumu Paeroa e hoa? Obviously, a lot of mahi. You know, the next 5 years are most probably exciting, maybe even uncharted. But what do you think is ahead for you fellas and your guys, mahi?
I think the important thing is that Charlotte now has a chance to embed the preparations that she's done over the last 3 years. So those things that we've just spoken about, the acknowledgement of tapu, noa and mana, the importance of whenua being land, but also the placenta, those can sound like airy-fairy, oh, wairua, fairy tale sort of phrases and words, but they've been built up over the last 3 years through Charlotte's belief in that system. And now over the next 5 years, we get to, as we say, the boat is up and ready to rock now. Yeah. And as kaihautu of that waka, we have her for a good solid 5 years to entrench and to embed that whakapono. I'm excited.
Yeah, I bet you are. Charlotte, it's good to have you back. Hi.
The waka took off without me.
Oh, hell.
It's all right. We steered it around and picked a few kinners up on the way. So
yeah,
so
we've already had a kai, so we're good. Hoiano, now that we do have you back, Te Hāmua has spoken a lot about you and the kaupapa that you have ahead of you, but I'd really like to kind of get your whakaaro around it. And I just finished asking Te Hāmua, but the next 5 years for you must be busy. It's obvious that you have a brilliant team around you, and for once a waka is going in the same direction, which is awesome. But what do you think is ahead of you for the next 5 years? Is it going to be any different? What is it?
I think 2 points come straight to mind is building a workforce of administrators and governors. You know, we've got great governors in Tūwharetoa. It's a luxury to have worked with, you know, some of the greats, Uncle Jimmy Biddle, you know, Uncle Jimmy Maniapoto, many of them, really strong governors. Growing, that means that people need to understand that legislative framework that we work in. So we have compliance via the court, so trust orders, etc. We have compliance, environmental compliance, health and safety compliance. So the best governors realise that different people bring different attributes. You've always got to have those Pākeke around the table, absolutely, but you also need people who understand these other levels of compliance. The Pākeke ground you, the kaumātua, the kuia, they ground you, but actually knowing that these things can trip you up and very quickly trip you up and expose you to enormous liability. So building that group and doing it actually with our current group, because we have over 250,000 individual identifiers, 1,700 plus trusts. So it's an enormous number of people. People want to govern and administer their own land. They absolutely do. We charge a very discounted fee. So in my view, it's as important to grow those people to have complete tino rangatiratanga over their lands. It doesn't happen straight away. You really, people need to understand that it is complex, and it can be quite high risk for people if they don't have the right level of support. So for me, growing those Pākeke, growing administrators so that it is a truly valued. You look at Frankie, for example, one of my favourite administrators and one of the best governors I know. You know, she works on building administrators and people valuing administration. It's very easy to go, oh, you made a mistake, and then go off at them. Actually, let's take a bit of care with our kaimahi and make sure that we realise that, you know, in this COVID environment in particular, where people are under high stress, you know, people's line of questioning can be quite abrupt and quite hard. So I want to focus on that in term 2, and we've done a lot of groundwork in these first 3 years. The other area I'm really keen on cementing in is that relationship between hapu and ahu whenua, and any type of structure that you have under Te Ture Whenua Māori, and trying to